everybody. I'm Joel Clark. I am the chairman of the Swanton Selectboard and chairman of the Development Review Board for a couple more meetings. Talking with the other groups that are here tonight, they said go ahead and be the chair of this meeting. Before each board brings their meeting to order, I would say I would love to see this crowd and maybe bigger when we do the budget meetings coming up this spring, because this is great to see this much participation in local government. So keep in mind that in March it'd be nice, well actually it's earlier than that when we have the information meeting, but we'll get the boards out there and feel free to join us. So each board want to call your meeting to order. PRB, we're good to go? Select board? Yep.
We're here.
Planning?
Aye.
All right, great to see all the boards here and the members that are here. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Thank you. Start with the agenda review. Planning. Anything to add to the agenda? No, we're going to plan. No. Village?
Yes. Under number 5, any other necessary business?
Okay.
Would like to discuss traffic issue at bottom of I-89, exit 21.
What was that again?
Would like to discuss the traffic situation at the bottom of I-89, exit 21.
Okay, and that's, we'll make that 5F.
Yep.
Okay.
I'd like to have something under community economic development, an update on the rubber bag.
Okay.
If the president says it's okay.
Dam repair update
Yeah.
under community economic development, number 4F. Select board?
Yeah, I got one, I had a townspeople today mentioned to me up on,
Or you want to add it?
I want to add it about traffic up on 105, I believe, where the wind towers are, that area.
Yep. Rocky Ridge.
School bus, yep, and traffic up there, maybe needs a
But where
sign.
you want to put it under here?
Under any other necessary.
Route 105 traffic near Rocky Ridge.
Yeah.
Okay.
Joel,
Yes.
since the original agenda was published, 3C was added. Discuss the new location for the teen center. And tonight, by email late, I received a request from Ron Kilburn to add D under 5, any other necessary business.
Okay.
David, do you have another packet?
Anything else? Any other board members? Everybody good? All right. Under meeting topics, the first item of business is minutes, March 29th, 2016. We had a multi-board meeting. At this stage, I think we'll leave it for each board. It's something you have to approve at your level. So I'm just going to let you know that they're out there unless someone has some issue with them. We won't spend a lot of time on them. Everybody good with that? No, we won't, because otherwise we have got to approve them by separate boards. We can't vote as a total board. All right. Public comment. Do we have any public comment tonight? What's that?
It's not on the agenda.
Anything that's not on the agenda.
Okay, public comment, items that are not on the agenda. New business, 3A is review village tax stabilization proposal. Who wants to take the lead on that?
That is me.
Okay, Elizabeth?
and I'm digging for that folder, because that is a separate folder. So wing this here a little bit. So I'm the economic development, the economic development coordinator for the town, which also encompasses the village. And one of the things that we are looking at is this tax stabilization program. The town has the capability, the village does not. And what it does is it levels for newer existing businesses looking to expand. It levels, it gives the village the ability to level taxes for a certain number of years, and then it would increment up based on either a 4-year, 5-year, 6-year, and that's what we're in the process of working out now. We, Reggie and I went to Highgate and met with them because they have an active.
Hyde Park.
Did I say Highgate?
Yeah.
Yes. I'm going to do that all the time. Hyde Park, they have a contract with somebody, so we went and visited with them, and the members have the information that Hyde Park provided. So we're that's the first process is determining if the village is interested in picking up on the tax stabilization. It's a way to incentivize new businesses and incentivize existing businesses to expand, because if you're a new business, you have some money, but you may need a little bit of time to get started. This will give you that opportunity. It'll give you a little bit of a break on your taxes to give you a chance to get started in that process. So again, the town's been able to do that. The village has not, so this is kind of the beginning of that process to get the village to be able to offer that new existing businesses.
So a quick example, so let's say if somebody buys a piece of property for $300,000 and they expect it to be, I don't know, $1.5 million down the road, you could take whatever the boards decide how they want that stabilization program to look like. The first year could be built to zero for local taxes, you still have to pay your school tax. But then after, you could have it incrementally go up after that every quarter until you reach your 5th year. And then by that time, you would be assessed on what your property value is after the construction. So it gives somebody, like Elizabeth said, a foothold to come in, incentivize them to want to come in into the community and stuff. I guess years ago, we had done that with, I don't know if it was Lucille.
We've done it with several companies over the years. I mean, I was involved with the cheese plant, but talking to some folks, they did it with Vermont Fasteners, they've done it with Precision Tools, and it was done differently than what you guys are talking about. It was actually, like Harold, you might be able to help here, 50% for 5 years, just flat rate 50%. I'm not saying that was the number, but something like that. We didn't do increments. It was just a flat rate, and then it went full bore at the end of that term.
So just real quick, so that was an example of theirs. Obviously, the boards could do exactly what they wanted to do, but I would go with public vote essentially for that program. Do you want to add anything else, Harold?
No.
The other company, Reggie, was the biodiesel that came in, and we did that with them too, but they didn't stick around.
Anything else? Any questions regarding that tax stabilization? This says here village tax stabilization, but what I'm hearing, it could be both a town and a village program, and each one should take it to the voters to get permission to enter into it, right? That's what I saw with some sample ballot items, I think.
No, I thought it was.
The town, when we did it, correct me if I'm wrong, Dan, because you and I were both on that board. They just came to us, and we, as a select board, set the tax. But we didn't ask the vote.
The amount and how long?
Yes.
Right, what I saw was a ballot item where it gives you permission to set up a program. It doesn't say what the details of the program, but the voters basically saying, we'll let you work that piece in it.
And not to get too deep into it, but I think Elizabeth found a town meeting or a select board meeting that dates back to 1968 when actually they started this thing. And it was
very broad.
Yeah.
It didn't say this is the program, but it gave you the ability to do a very broad scope of things. You know, I think the village was going to take it to to the voters, and if that's something you want to renew, maybe it makes sense from 1966 till now. Maybe it's something to renew and just have that. But
Yeah, so something we'll discuss at our next meeting as we're prepping the budget and ballot items for vote next year with a very large public hearing like this.
And one thing, Joel, I remember distinctly, and I'm sure you do, is if there was grant money involved, when the people came from, regardless if it was federal or state, that was the first thing they asked. If we would stabilize the taxes, and let them get a foothold into our community. And they needed that from the select boards, and we were always eager to have new businesses, so the select board always discussed it among themselves and set the tax rate.
Seems like a good tool to have available, so each board can look at it and decide what they want to do. Anything else? Okay. 3B, proposal to hold combined select board and village 2018 budget info meeting. We put that on the agenda.
I had asked David if, we could bring it up, that it seemed like whenever we have our budget meetings, it would be sparsely attended. I mean, sometimes we got more.
Budget or informational?
The informational side. Informational meeting, seems like we got more board members in the audience, and I thought that if we combined it, maybe we could, do two birds with one stone, maybe get a larger audience. The school always comes in, and that's where we get the audience, but as soon as the school's done, everybody leaves. So maybe you have a different, maybe you have, the school does their own, because when we have the village is informational, the schools have in their meetings. It was just a thought. I mean, I think, whoever is going to pitch, we can coordinate presentations, go back and forth. It'd be a little work to get it done, but I think we can do it smoothly, or at least attempt to.
Thoughts?
I would like to see it happen. The only concern I have is with the presentation from the school board and the presentation from the select board. I don't know, I've been to a few of the village meetings, but sometimes they go pretty long.
We would try
just
to
the town.
streamline some of that process.
Does the school board have to have their meeting at the same night, on the same night? Or can they do it a
Good
different?
question. Something to look at.
I think it's something we could talk to them about, what amount of time do they really need, and see if we can do it as a group. And I see some benefit in it.
Absolutely.
Other discussion? Any public comment on that? Thank you.
Yeah, I got a little comment. I don't know, I'm mildly hard hearing, but I wish you'd speak a little louder when you talk.
I should
So he would hear you.
I should look that way.
I hear you well, but the rest of them are pretty mumbling.
Okay, I will,
Hate to say it, but
now, if we could, folks, please try to talk just a hair longer. We aren't sophisticated where we have the little microphones and the push buttons, but just try to speak up. It's not too loud. Thank you, Warren. All right, the next item. Discuss new location of the teen center. I realize that I think there's a lot of energy in this crowd tonight to discuss this. I've got a few things I wanted to read here before we got going regarding the town's position, and then I was going to turn it over to the village. I know I was out of country last week, and there was a lot of discussion that took place at the select board meeting. But I do want to just get these points out and see if we're in agreement before amongst the boards we talk, and then we open it up to the public. From a town perspective, we support a strong teen center and are committed to supporting the center. Doc Chip Finelli is the spokesperson for that, is that correct?
Yep.
Okay. Dr. Chip Finelli is comfortable with the teen center being relocated as a result of the future ACE project. Is that the correct statement? We, the town, have a process for asking for additional funds for nonprofits. I know that was discussed at last Tuesday's meeting. Any increase in what we already give annually will be done as we have agreed upon, and that goes before the taxpayers. Board members, correct me if there's anything I've misstated there. From the Development Review Board standpoint, there's an approved site plan for the project. The project includes turning the memorial building into an Ace Memorial Hardware store. The Prouty building will be torn down. The theater will be rebuilt for an undetermined tenant at this time. And the small building between the theater and the parts store will become a bakery. Is that a correct summary of the project? No?
Commercial space.
Commercial space, not,
We've shown it as a bakery right now.
okay, been some discussion of a bakery, but it'll be commercial space. Okay. The sale of the memorial building is a village issue. We support the project from a town standpoint and the future improvements that are planned for that area. Those are just some of the comments I wanted to make first, and then I was going to pass on to the village president.
Thank you. I'm speaking for my board. Can you hear me, Warren? Yeah. All right. Just to clarify what Joel has already started, a year and a half ago, we started talking with the Winterses about a proposal for downtown. Joel kind of outlined it, but I was, other than Dr. Chip, I think I'm the one that's been involved with the teen center the most. I mean, not physically, but I was here when they started it, and in no way is the Board of Trustees or the town of Swanton interested in trying to do away with the teen center. We're all in favor of relocating it. It's been on the board since we first started, and we've done all we can so far to this point to try to make the relocation easy and comfortable for the teen center and the taxpayers of the town and village of Swanton. So if there's anything out there that we're trying to kick the teen center out, it's false information. So Joel outlined the project, and if you've got any more questions about the development downtown, either my board or Gordon and Debbie are here. They'll be glad to enlighten you. So with that said, let's go have some discussion.
All right, first I'd like to keep the discussion at the board level. I'm not sure if there's tons to talk about because we've seen it at DRB, it's been discussed at the select board, it's been discussed at the village, not so much at planning, but I'm gonna open it up to any of the boards that wanna bring up any discussion regarding the location for the teen center.
Joel, I don't have a problem with the location, but just in our last meeting, do we have a minimum amount that we have to go to the voters for if there's any additional for nonprofits, or do we have any latitude with that?
Board members, correct me if I'm wrong, we just talked about, we have that whole list of nonprofits that come to us.
Right.
Usually 2 or 3 of them each year come in and ask for more.
Right.
And we said if it's a significant amount of money, we were gonna run it before we would keep the, like if it was $2,500 per year.
Right.
And they wanted another 2,000, we would keep the 2,500 in the one line item for the budget. And then we would put the other as a separate ballot item. That way the voter, and then we also put in parentheses what the total would be, so that the voters understand what the increase is gonna be.
So a little further on his question is, the select board does have the authority to say, you know, they're asking for $10,000. We do have that authority and build it into our budget. But we've never done something that big without asking the taxpayers. It's in my opinion, it's a moral thing that it's not our money to spend, and it's the community that should be saying yay or nay. So that's why we would put it on a line item for the taxpayers to be correct. Yeah. And I don't even know if it'd be part of the appropriations or just a separate, or a line item in the appropriations.
Yeah, it'd be a separate line item for the budget. Just a minute, we're gonna go among the board.
Did I speak loud enough, Warren? Did you hear that?
So if we were to do that as a town, we would do all of it, not split it from the village, or?
It'd be in the general.
And the general budget, which every person living in the boundary of Swanton pays that general budget. Very similar to the zoning administrator position, except clerk.
Cleared it up for me.
All right, Jeff. Anything with planning?
Yeah,
21 months ago, we kind of held this first meeting for the first time in a long time. I think it was very, very informative. We went over long-range planning goals, having continuity between the boards, and I just wanted to follow up on a couple of questions the Planning Commission has. You know, we're continually trying to make our community better. One of the things the boards have worked on the past year is securing the position, at least short term, for the economic development coordinator position. I do agree with everybody, I think, here tonight that that is a position that has been badly needed here in Swanton. It's up and moving forward, and I think we're seeing the effects of that position. So very important that we continue with that. But as a planning commission and reviewing what our position is in the town, I think you all know the past 21 months we had a pretty busy schedule. It's slowing down again now, fortunately. The questions we would have is probably, you know, not necessarily being out of the loop, but everything kind of happened quite quickly. We have a facility that in my childhood fell into the hands of business. The town fathers at that point in time decided to close it as a memorial auditorium. And probably for the next 50 years after that, we all wondered why we did that, why we lost that facility. So as we move through this process, as a planning commission, I think we feel very strongly in supporting a youth teen center, community center. That's kind of some of our pet peeves. You know, when can we maybe start working towards a community center? As we all know, what our community can offer to the outsiders or people interested in moving in is going to sell our community and make our community more valuable. So not knowing what the costs were of operating the teen center, I think they were minimal. Now all of a sudden we are entering into added costs to operate that, and short term is to rent a space to offset that loss. But as planners, I think one of our main focuses will be on trying to work with Elizabeth or whoever on long-term goals, community development funds and grants, and the relocation of a permanent teen center, and that's going to cost us some dollars. And in the conversation last night at the Planning Commission, we brought this up one or two times to the, at least the select board. We have space available. You know, we're talking about maybe a spot adjacent to the Raleigh Memorial Fields for short-term renting or leasing. But we also have a town piece of property adjacent to the school. And I think we would be remiss if we continue thinking of selling that piece of property for a few $1,000s, a couple hundred, when that would be an ideal location to maybe think about securing some funds to establish something permanent for all community members. 200,000 is not much, and if we could invest 200,000 or 300,000 in a short-term funds or whatever to build a facility to replace the teen center, but maybe also include rec department headquarters, our arts council headquarters, senior center, whatever. Everybody could use that facility, and it sits right on our bike path. And we can use joint facilities for different events. I'm sure the elementary school could use a facility there from time being. You know, all of our gymnasiums are flooded, you know, throughout the Missisquoi community and Swanton. And I think if we're gonna continue down this road, that's something that needs to come to the forefront. And we need to get to work on it right away, because now we are homeless with our teen center and many other
things that are going on in town that need an established home. So I know when we spent $600,000-700,000 to build our town garage, that was partially the selling point, but I believe that's a long-term loan that's being repaid. And I think the promise or the thought was we would take the funds from the sale of that property, throw it onto that debt load. But maybe we ought to look for the next 30 years and say, that's something we needed, what do we need next? And to give away a piece of property that we're already funding and paying down, I think we ought to look long-term at the plans of maybe doing something there for the communities. Thank you.
Second that motion.
We'll open up to the public in a minute, please, sir. And you brought that up when we had the joint meeting before, and I know we have had discussions on that, and I will commit to getting it back on the agenda for next meeting that we have, which is next Tuesday, and carry that discussion farther. The whole project is a fairly significant amount of money, and you know, where we want to go and where the taxpayers want to go, we can discuss it, but we can get it on the agenda, and I would encourage folks to come, and if that's something they want to start moving forward, then that's what we ought to be looking at, as a whole town of Swanton to do. So I can appreciate that, Jim. Thank you. Village? Anything else?
I have a question.
Just a minute before we go to the public. What's that?
Pardon?
Just a minute before we open it up to the public. We're going to let the boards talk first and then open it up to the public. Anything from a DRB perspective?
We're doing
No? Dan, you get
So I
something?
just want to tag on to what Jim said. We've had discussions about that property on 4th Street, and you're absolutely right. We built it was an $800,000 town garage. We only borrowed $600,000, so we have come up with $200,000. Will we get that for that property? I'm really starting to think no. And the discussions that we've had on this board is that might be the exact spot that we need for a community center. And we already own the property. I mean, we can do the Band-Aid for the first year until we get things worked out. But I'm really, in my opinion, starting to lean toward, you know, you talked about the different things, the rec committee, the teen center, but you got Cub Scouts, you got bingo, you've got indoor flea markets in the wintertime, you got, you name it, that would be a perfect spot for it. And we can talk about it at the next board meeting.
Okay.
So is it worth maybe giving a little bit of what we have been doing in the last couple of months? Particularly,
Regarding?
well, so there have been some people who've had some discussions about moving forward with the teen center because we know that they need a new home. And I think, and you know, people, Dr. Chip and Gordon and Reggie have been on some of these discussions. The idea is to evolve it from a teen center to a community center, because we know that's one of the, it's in the municipal plan. We know that that's kind of what, you know, there's a lot of support for that. So take what's currently the teen center, expand it into a community center, and meet a number of different needs within the community. So that is part of the ongoing discussion. The location that is kind of where we've settled, at least temporarily, because you know they do need a new home, and there is a tentative new location. It was meant to be kind of temporary with an eye toward long-term, but the issue is getting them settled for up to a year, and then in that time, figure out what's the best thing we need to do. If we're doing a community center, let's look at all of our assets, figure out what we have, where we could put it, where it makes sense to have it, how we're gonna fund it short-term, long-term, get people involved in the process of helping figure this out, because everybody's going to hopefully will use it. It's not just for the teen, it's not just for seniors, it's for the town, it's for the village, it's whoever wants to use it. So you should have some input on how that happens. And this is kind of part of that process so that people can be involved. But it has, the main talk is it has been expanded, I think, into a community center. We call it the Teen Center because that's what it is now, or I'll say the Teen/Community Center. But when we say Teen Center, we mean Community Center. When we're talking about moving it, that is, the move will be permanent, but a temporary location, get us where we need to go, buy us some time to figure out the right long-term strategy so we're not packing them up, we're not doing it wrong, and we know what we want to do, and people have the input to do it. So I just thought maybe giving some of the brief overview.
Okay, thank you for that, Elizabeth. I just want to reiterate that the Teen Center is a nonprofit organization, so the options are out there to make it into a larger community center, a facility that would allow both the use of the teen center and so on. There's several options that are out there. So where we go right now, we don't know, but something we will get on the agenda and we'll start having more concrete discussions regarding that. Want to take one other quick look around the board. Dan, I think said he had one more thing.
Yep, so I don't know if the entire public knows this, we're on TV and a little bit of it's been in the paper, but this Ace Hardware thing is going to happen with that building. And Gordy, Mr. Winters, has pledged it's like 20 grand for the first year just to get coverage until he'll give us a year, or give the Chippinellis and the Teen Center a year to work out the bumps in the road. And Gordy's pledged $10,000 toward that $20,000, and that's why they came to the board and asked for the other $10,000, which I think John made the statement last week that we put that on a ballot, you're going to get your $10,000, okay? But we, in my opinion, and hopefully the board's opinion, we got to put it on the ballot. Okay. And thank you for what you're doing.
Thank you.
All right, now we'll open it up to the public. We'd like to give a couple minutes per person, and if we got to go into another round, we can do that. John, I know you had your hand up earlier, and Sarah, you did in the back. So, John?
So, I'm just wondering why we couldn't make the side as a permanent building, you know? They're gonna move in there and fix it up for themselves, kitchen and that sort of thing. And why wouldn't we just, I'm asking $200,000 for the building, you know, and you'd have yourself a permanent place.
I think speaking for some discussions we've had at the town before is right now, all options are on the table. We have about a year to come up with a plan, and that's where we should leave it at this point and bring some ideas out there. That's an idea. The 4th Street garage location is another. There may be others, and we got to take a look at the cost and see what the permanent solution is. That would be my response to that.
I just correct you on the dates. We wouldn't even be starting until in the spring, early part of the summer, and then their year would start, so it would probably be a year and a half.
Right. More like 18 months.
Okay, thank you, Gordon. Sir?
Yes, sir, Gary Richards on I think it's a fantastic idea that the village and town come together to replace to the community what we used to have, known as the Royal Auditorium. And I do think that the old town garage site on 4th Street would be an ideal location to construct a 1-story, 10,000 square foot or whatever building that could be used for a community center, which would include a teen center. Also, it would be a nice overflow for the school system. There's a lot of events that go on periodically at the school where there's not enough room for parking. You see cars up and down Grand Avenue. That way there, they could park over at the community center, walk across the street to the school, or if the school had a function that they needed more space, they would have another location to set up displays or student displays or whatever they're doing. But definitely, I think town of Swanton needs to have a community center for the residents, which we haven't had in many, many years. And I think it's a good time for the village and the town to come together to work on this, share the costs, share the ideas. We have the property already. Let's move on that as far as a forward-looking idea. The teen center does need money currently, which would be a ballot item to get them through. And I do think that if the town and village can work together within a year, maybe 14 months' time, we could have a new community center over there which could house the teen center. And I think it'd be an ideal location.
Okay, thank you, Gary.
You're welcome.
John?
Sean Cheney, Swanton. Any new development is good in town. I think for the future that we've got, down the road, bringing new buildings versus old run-down ones is always going to be beneficial. And then it's going to be some controversy here initially, but as years go on, I think you'll see that's what we need in the downtown area. Another consideration on that 4th Street site, if that's something that ends up turning into a little more energy. A year ago, we talked here at the same meeting about that actual 4th Street building, and or that site. 250,000, I think, was the number that Reg had thrown out at the time that we were asking, and again, that was for part of the bond. Hopefully, replace that down the road. I think it's around 2 now. I think I told you guys $1.25 then, and I still feel that way. So I think you're at best going to get maybe 125,000 for that site, realistically. Another option to consider, and again, this will be for brainstorming for different communities down the road, but maybe considering a TIF type concept where you work with a developer on that lot and say, okay, we're going to give you this lot at X amount of dollars, or maybe it's no dollars, and you're going to build us a community center alongside that. So that something gets built on that site. We now possibly either do a subdivision or it becomes one site, whatever, that can be open interpretation, but you may want to consider partnering with a developer on that 4th Street site so that you get new development of some sort there that might be, obviously going to be commercial, an aspect for them, but it may also be a way to get a win-win for us in the process by transferring those lands into structures in the process. So just a thought, something that could be
What's the
considered.
total acreage on that 4th Street property?
1.2.
1.2, you're not going to have a lot of room for extra development if you build a proper community center with parking.
Thank you, Sean. Warren, you had your hand up?
Yeah, I'm kind of new in this. I'd like to ask, how many children are using the teen center at present? So give me that answer, how many you have approximately?
Yeah, just to give you an idea, so 18 years ago, we started this whole thing, and it was an agreement between the town, the village, and the teens.
Yeah, I knew that.
Yeah, and so when people say, are we opposed to moving? Well, the teens are part of the community, and part of the community is building self-esteem and doing what you have to help the community. And this is what we're doing. This is part of the revitalization.
I want to know.
You want to know the answer? Okay, so we have
how many you got that are using that now presently.
Okay, we average about 35 kids a night for the last 18 years. You put it all together. At the beginning, we were up around
35 in the last.
In the last year, we're averaging around 17 to 20 kids a night. Okay. That's an average. If you look at how many teens we've served through the last 18 years, we've had about 8,500 teen visits, not 8,500 kids per year, which is like 167,000 teen visits over the last 18 years, where we've had a chance to help these kids. And if you look at the studies that are done with teen centers and community centers, the alcohol rate in kids that continue to go to teen centers, the more they go, the better, drops from 45 to 5%, cigarette smoking 23 to 3%, marijuana 35 to 7%.
Now, I got a question on your survey that you've done on all of this. Is this based on other information you got on the greater municipality of cities or small
This is based on teen centers throughout the country and teen centers through Europe and the world.
Okay, so these are based on populated areas.
Well, but even in Chicago, for example, which
now you're talking population.
Their averages in Chicago is like 22 kids a night. Yeah. So our 17 compared to 22 is pretty good. And at the beginning, we were up to 45. At the beginning, we had a lot of funding.
Yeah.
And we had a lot of events.
I'm not against anything, but as a businessman, I've always owned a business. And I'm here to represent the taxpayers. That's the way I feel. The teen center is used in the village corporation. The taxes are based on the total community. And you got people that are living outside the community that their children does not have the opportunity to get there. Wait a minute, let me finish from that.
Well, I think it's important we say that, and you state whether it's true or not, the teen center is open to everybody within the boundaries of Swanton.
Everybody in the MVU catchment area.
Okay, so it's not just in the,
Right, but why not the base, take the teen center, you got recreation in our elementary school, we have it at MVU, we got the department and the baseball field. Why don't these organizations get and all work together and equalize the taxpayers? You just, tonight, you brought up approximately $20,000 to take care of approximately 18 kids. Now, that's not business-minded in my book.
So we also do programs in the teen center. For example, the Crossroad programs and after-school program, they come and use the teen center.
Yeah, but you're only used to taking care of 18 kids
Well, no,
in
when
the
the
community for
Crossroads-
20,000, and they won't do it. That's the only thing I'm bringing up. I'm sorry to bring
No,
it
that's
up.
okay, Warren. Well, what I'm saying is that we do have other organizations that also use that teen center, like the Crossroads, which they bring a busload of kids down there. We have programs that we do with the Arts Council. You can't look, I mean, I know I love kids, but you can't just say it's 17 kids or 18 or 20. People get tied up with those numbers.
Yeah, but okay, I
If you
look
save
at-
one kid from going to jail, it costs $60,000 a year to service, to put an adult male in jail in Vermont. It costs $85,000 to put an adult female in Vermont.
Okay.
Kids
Now
who
you
go to
take
teen
your
centers,
bill.
just a second more, they have 40% chance, greater chance of staying in the community if they go to the teen center, finishing high school, getting better grades, doing more active things. And there's a 40% decline in crime, drug use, and actually obesity because we do active things.
I hope you're right on that one.
Well, I am.
all right, Dr. Jim, I want to interject here. We've answered the question on roughly how many teens, and we've certainly heard Warren's concern.
Bring it all on.
We've heard Warren's concerns regarding the increase to the taxpayer, and that is something the board is very concerned about, and it'll all be part of the discussion, so come to the meetings. I encourage people to come to the meetings and participate.
Well, I've been on that side of the board.
I know, and we appreciate that. Sir?
Yes. My name is Billy Paff. I live in Franklin County. I travel. My story is this. I've spent the last 4 years of my life volunteering and traveling across the U.S. fighting a drug war. I've seen many die. I retired about 9 months ago, and I found an amazing woman and moved up here. When I started my mission 4 years ago, there was about 3 communities in the state of Vermont that were being wiped out by this heroin epidemic. 3/4 of the state's affected. This town I stand in, I'm here every day, and what I see would disturb all of you. I'm asking everyone in this town and every public official to seriously think about what I'm telling you right now. Everyone's worried about money, everyone's worried about traffic. No one seems to be worried about human life and the future generations that's gonna wipe this town out. Your town is gonna turn into suicide. There's a lot of bullying going on here. Your crime rates are gonna go up. Why it's that? Because we don't have much help in Congress, and a lot of these people that suffer this addiction is putting a halt to all good treatment around the world. I moved here about 9 months ago, and I fight this war on the streets. I've worked with the state police. I've helped capture a missing teen out of Alberg with a sex offender 4 states away. No one paid me. Our first priority as a community is to be very active, educate, and raise as much awareness as we can, and get these kids off the street. The kids and the children I'm around every day, and where I work, and where I live. It's very disturbing when I see on social media, the drinking, the drugs, very sexually active young females and males. The bullying is out of control. I've seen too much bullying at MVU, and I'm working on all this, and I think that this teen center is a catastrophic, could turn into a catastrophic nightmare for the future of this whole community. We can't worry about money. I think that $10,000 is not much money at all. If I had to mow lawns and raise money and have a fundraiser myself, I would do that to make this happen.
Okay,
I've seen so much death.
Please let one person speak
Is
at a
it
time.
worth, I
Warren.
mean, he's worried about a lot of money, I'm worried about human life. Is it worth $1 million to any of us to try to bring back our child from a cemetery? Answer me.
Yes.
Is it worth $1 million to lose a child? This community I work in, and I've seen it all, and according to the FBI, a mile down the road, St. Albans is the deadliest and most unsafe community in the state of Vermont. Did you know that? I work these streets. I hunt missing children. I've been in the woods and on trails, finding kids using drugs in abandoned houses because they come from a broken family. We need to be really active in the community, and you guys cannot lose a teen center. You can't bounce teens around. I think the only way that we're going to be successful in fighting this war in the entire state, never mind this community, is be very active with the children, keep them out of the pits and off these trails, because I see it every day. It's very, very disturbing to me, and I've helped place thousands of people across the U.S. into treatment. I think your first and only worry here tonight for everyone in this community is to worry about the future generation of kids, because I've seen thousands die across the U.S.
I gotta answer you.
Thank you, Billy.
I gotta answer you. What you say.
Warren, I'm running the meeting. Thank you. You can wait your turn.
Yeah, but
This is gonna get out of control tonight if everyone just starts speaking when they want to. Thank you. Kathy.
Thank you for your words. Certainly it's not anything we haven't heard before. The concept of a community center came up as one of the first initiatives of the task force to reduce substance abuse. Actually I spoke to Senator Lyons about 1.5 years ago. She's been involved with many teen centers. She's on the board in the Swanton Teen Center and Community Center. The numbers that Dr. Chip speaks to are multipliers. Those 17 kids are going back into their high school. They're acting appropriately. They're helping teens to make good decisions. They're going back to families and even having influence on their own families to become healthy families. So I have no doubt that the numbers are pretty true across the nation, and we know that they make a difference. As far as the community center goes, the concept of putting the teen center together with a community center, together with a place for our elderly to go, together with recreation and all of those things, those are the type of things that build a healthy community. It has been proven time and time again around the nation. And the few $10,000 that they're looking for now is also a multiplier, and we'll get many more rewards by doing that. The other thing I'd like to say is, you know, I've been in Swanton over about 33 years now. I've been on 4 revitalization committees. And many of you up here have been on them with me, Neil. And a lot of great energy, a lot of great ideas, a lot of big plans. The one thing that we never had was somebody to take a risk that had some money and step forward. And we are very fortunate to have a family that's in this community that has respect for our veterans, that is doing everything they can to keep solid the history in that lot that has had to have something done for many, many years. If we would be remiss if we don't allow this development down in the center of town. And that, along with the teen center, along with the community center, is what's going to move this community forward. So money's important. I pay taxes too. I think I pay too much taxes, but I'll spend that kind of money to make this community healthy, and this is the first step towards it. The teen center, the community center is the second step.
Thank you, Kathy. And I want to clarify, again, the project has been approved and is moving forward, so we really aren't debating that tonight, but the good words and positive words, thank you very much.
I live in St. Albans. My name is Amanda. And after St. Albans lost their teen center, there was a very drastic change in the teenagers seeking entertainment through drugs, vandalization, all kinds of negative things. And as Billy pointed out, I mean, St. Albans is a mile away, and it's clearly not a good place. So losing the teen center for Swanton would not be ideal. We need to make sure that the teen center stays and that the teenagers and the young children have a safe, healthy place to go. If money's an issue, we can work that out. You can do fundraisers, you can do all kinds of things. This is where the community needs to be strong and needs to come together and make this happen. We don't need to have an increase in crime. We do not need to have an increase in the drug rate and everything else. I mean, the world's bad enough as it is. So this is where the community needs to come together and figure things out. And I mean, we have little ones. Do we want them to not have somewhere to go and not have a safe place to hang out and continue to be healthy? I mean, the bullying needs to stop. We need to get the drug rate down, and we need to keep the teen center.
Okay, thank you very much. Again, folks, I think we opened up, and at least from a town perspective, we said we were committed to a strong teen center. So I want to make sure there's nobody that I'm aware of on the town board that wants the teen center to go away. So that really is not what we're debating here tonight. Excuse me?
I'm not against it.
Didn't say you were, Warren. You brought up some concerns. I'm not accusing anybody in here, either. We're just having the discussion. We're going to go about another 10 minutes, and then we're going to move on to another agenda item. Sir in the back.
I'm Jamie Dodd. I'm the director of the teen center. I've been director for 2 years. I want to start by saying thank you to the community for an incredible facility. We will be sad to see it go. It has served us well, and we do appreciate that. The teen center has been different things to different people through the years. In the 2 years that I've been there, I've seen that center be a place for kids to get a meal that they weren't otherwise going to get. In some cases, learning a game, hanging out, meeting friends, having positive interaction with adults, and in some cases also being a safe place to go when their home was not during that time. And I just want to say, if you want to know what we do, if you want to see what we are, please feel free to come down and visit us. We are open after school most days from about 3:30 into the evening, 6 or 7 in the evening. Come on down. You're welcome. You are the community, we are the community, and our doors are open. If the light's on, we're open.
Okay, thank you, David.
So I just want to say one thing to the lady from St. Albans, the young lady in the back. And there's 17 people sitting at this table tonight. By no means are we going to let this fail. We're going to do everything we can in our powers to make this work. Joel stated earlier, everything's on the table. We got to go back, have discussions with you folks of what we're going to do to make this work. But I think we're a pretty successful group of people here, and I truly believe that we're going to make this work. Okay? If I'm wrong, somebody can speak up.
Any other first-time speakers?
I'm Sherry Holbrook, and I have one question for the village. Who authorized the sale of the building?
As the chairperson, if you want to answer it, go ahead. We're here to talk about the relocation of the teen center and not the sale of that. That can be done at a village meeting if you want, or you can answer it tonight. But I'm just throwing that out there as the one who's chairing this. That isn't what we're here to talk about tonight.
Well, it's actually in the statute that the trustees have the fiduciary responsibility to the community that they can buy and sell real estate without having authorization.
It was a memorial building.
Right, but they still have the.
Sold by people, voted on.
That's what's in statute.
Pardon?
No, it shouldn't. It was village property.
Bought for $1 from the town, and you didn't take care of it.
The town sold it, and the village can't.
How come it was running into the ground? You made a factory?
Jerry, we checked into that before we started dealing with anybody. And it's totally above board for the village board of trustees to do real estate transactions.
Right.
And
You
again,
didn't take care of it.
how far do you want to go with this?
Not very far.
Yeah, because you can do that as a separate meeting and agenda item if you want.
I'm very thankful to Mr. Winters. I am. I think it's a shame. His father and his uncle, maybe his father, his grandfather, I don't know. But that was the place of school graduations. That was Swanton High School, everything. It was our roller skating rink. It was our ice skating rink. It was everything. And I don't know.
Key word is was.
What?
The key word there is was.
Was. But I bet we've got a lot of houses in town that are older than that building. Was. It's too bad that it disintegrated and it was allowed to do that in the first place. But I'm thankful that we have someone that is gonna really do something with it as a memorial. Thank you.
Thank you, Sherry. Sir.
Hello, my name is Dave Winchester, everybody. I'm almost a lifetime resident of this small town. I went to a select board meeting a little over a week ago to ask a simple question. I had no idea all the details, like a lot of the members in the community seem to be really confused about the transparency of how this project is working and how it's being funded and what's coming back to the community versus what's being lost. Nobody's here to disagree how wonderful Gordon and Debbie Winters are and what great business people they are. Nobody's here to disagree with how great the leaders are here. It's just, I went to advocate for the teen center and for the kids because they're losing their support system and their space and their place in the community and the funding around it. And so I was gonna ask a question. What proceeds are coming from the sale of this community-owned asset and the War Memorial, Living War Memorial? And could that be put towards the teen center?
But they're not losing their funding.
What's that?
They're not losing their funding. You said they were going to lose their funding.
Well, they've got to come back to the taxpayers to raise money for a new space and a new place.
That happens every year.
Well, we rededicated this space and this place to them 17 years ago that the community already owned. And as far as I can tell, the tenant upstairs has been more than covering the bills. And I met the gentleman, he's paying up the heat, and there's a lot of support for the program that's there right now in that space, in that place. At the same time, yeah, I've had Sherry's and listened to many people about the positives, and I've heard so many people about the negatives, because people don't seem to completely understand what's going to happen, what's coming in from the project and selling of the place.
Dave,
what we're going to have.
I'm going to interrupt for just a minute.
Yeah,
again, we're here to talk about the relocation of the teen center,
yes,
not the sale of the building and the proceeds or the monies from the sale of the building. That is not part of the discussion tonight. And we're reiterating that. I know that was talked about at the meeting. I looked at the meeting minutes.
Yeah.
That isn't what's on the agenda for tonight.
Okay.
So if you want to get into the sale of that building and the details of that, schedule and get on the agenda for a village meeting.
Village.
Yes.
Okay. I was under the understanding that this was what this meeting was about.
This, as I discussed and read earlier, the line item is discussed the new location for the teen center and talked about that the issue with the sale of that building was a village issue and that we supported moving the teen center. And again, we've looked around this table, everybody supports the teen center and trying to get it right, and I hear people wanting a community center, and I encourage people to go find 20 other people to support a community center, because when it comes to ballot time, if you haven't gone out and helped, it's going to die on the vine. So if we had something we really want in this room, and we got to go out and champion it, not just say that's what we want. So that's what I'm going to encourage. But I'm going to keep this agenda on track tonight, and we're here to discuss the location of the teen center. We have a temporary home right now, and a lot of good discussion about trying to find a permanent place. So if you want to add to that, please do. If you want to revisit the sale of the building, do that in another meeting, not here tonight.
Joe?
Yes?
I might be wrong, but I believe what David was trying to arrive at is the money from the sale of the building. Is that going to be applied to the teen center? Is that
It
what you're...
seems like the Memorial Auditorium was still serving a pretty significant part of the community. It's the youth of the community, the future of the community, where hopefully they have positive memories and positive experiences. And I've read Dr. Chip's program that I got at the select board meeting a week ago, and I was really impressed with all the feedback. I understand the benefits, the economic benefits of having a space and a place for the youth in this community. And like I said, and I also understand the economic challenges now that they don't have that space anymore. And the ripple effect that that's causing, and the discussions that are causing in the community, because I've been listening to it for a little while now from a lot of folks. So since this meeting that we had last week at Select Board, when I just simply went to go say, hey, if there's some proceeds from the sale, it really should just go to the youth program and center replacement, or whatever happens to that. And that just led on this crazy episode of you gotta go talk to this person, and you gotta go talk to this person, and why isn't this being, well, nobody understands the economics of it, and it's very confusing, and what's to be gained and what's to be lost, and why hasn't there been a study? And nobody's questioning about how wonderful Gordon and Debbie's Ace Hardwares were. The downtown, just
Come on,
Dave, let's go back to the location. Do you have an issue with the teen center being temporarily relocated to where it's going to be relocated? And what would you like to see done for the teen center and maybe a community center in the future? That's the discussion tonight.
That's the discussion.
Yes.
That's the big discussion.
You can have that other discussion as a separate agenda item in a separate meeting, but not here tonight. We're going to stay with the agenda, and we've got a lot of other items to go through tonight. So if you've got something you want to bring up on the relocation, please do. And if you don't, let me turn the floor over to somebody else.
We need to fund that if there's no.
That's why it'll be on the ballot. And it's a private organization. We will have discussions on how much the town's going to support, and it'll be put on the ballot if that's what the selectmen put on the ballot. That's where we will take public input at a select board meeting and see the interest and how much we want to go for money, and put it on the ballot and let the public vote on it. It may be a couple items. One may be just to get through 2018, and one may be the bigger project that everyone talked about in here tonight and seemed very supportive of, is a community center. And maybe at the 4th Street garage location. So there's a lot of work to do. We understand all that. The agenda item we're working on is the new location of the teen center. Can't be any clearer than that.
Okay. I think that's exactly.
Go sit down.
Yeah, I thought that's what I was doing.
Now, the money issue is not what we're discussing. We're talking the location.
But that's part of relocating the teen center.
That's people's opinion on that. If you want to get into the details of that purchase and sales agreement, schedule a meeting with the village trustees.
Right. Well, they seem to be interconnected to a certain degree.
We don't have the answer tonight, and that's a discussion to take place in that meeting.
And it's not interconnected with the town select board. Not the sale of that building whatsoever. I mentioned that in last week's meeting.
Another minute, sir.
No, go ahead.
Thank you. In the back.
My name's Kathy Nebone. I'm the coordinator of the Crossroad program, where our kids do go to the teen center once a week. We send anywhere from 15 to 18 kids every Tuesday. We have a great time. They've made some really good relationships with people. I can't talk any louder. I'm sorry, I've lost my voice. Anyway, it's a great place, and I have to tell you, when you're thinking 10,000 for kids, 600,000 for a garage, it just blows my mind that anyone could question about putting it on a ballot if you're making money off of a sale. I know I'm not supposed to talk about it, but here's the deal. I went to a village meeting, and I asked about this, and I was told there is a real estate transaction on our meeting tonight. That's all the information they would give me. So I don't feel, you're not being transparent? I mean, there are questions that people have. Just to share a story hooking into this problem with our drugs. I was at Walmart one night, and little child in a car waving to me. And I work at the school, and so I waved back, and I sat down and looked over to see, do I recognize this child? And in the front seat of the car was a mother sniffing something up her nose. When you're looking at where you're putting your money, that kid in the back seat needs your money. They really do. And the teen center is one of those places that kid can someday go and be away from that in their lives. So please, $10,000 is not a lot of money. Does it really need to go on a ballot? Can you just give them $10,000 out of that sale?
Okay, that's fair. We'll take that in advisement and
Joel, one last comment.
yep.
As a parent, I want to see a better teen center. The one we've got, in my opinion, I don't know. I want to see a better one, and I think we've got an opportunity to do a better one. That's it.
All right. I think as far as the location, it's been some good discussion. Okay, sir?
Can I just say one thing?
No, Chip, just a minute behind you. That's all right. We'll get back to you.
Hi, my name is Tyler Stanislaus. This is my father, Norm. I'm a local landlord here in the community, Sandpit down the road. I think the teen center is a great thing. I think what the Winters are doing is an excellent thing with updating and rehabbing the Memorial Center, which would also cost $800,000 to bring up to code, to spec, and whatever else it might be. This gentleman's offering a temporary proposition for a building, and I'd like to personally donate $5,000. And I believe my father.
Thank you very much. And just for clarification, John is offering both a temporary and a permanent solution. That's what, that was mentioned earlier, and thank you. The energy tonight is great. How we focus that energy and how we move forward is the real answer. We're not gonna solve it here tonight, but the energy I see tonight, again, if you go out and you talk with others and you get them in the positive mode, we can improve what we have for our kids here in Swanton. And I raised 5 here, so I'm very interested too, because some of them are around and are gonna raise kids here as well. Sandy.
Thank you, to the Stanislaus. Now that we have 5,000, could we get 2,500 from the village and 2,500 from the town, and then we're good?
I've got to speak with the same emphatic, we're not discussing the budget tonight. Maybe slightly less emotion the way I said that, Sandy, but.
No, you don't need to find any more money between the both of us.
They're both donating. Both donating.
Both donating.
You have the $10.
Could you please stand up to the camera? Okay. Can I move on? If someone hasn't spoken for the first time, go on, Gordon.
I just have a quick comment to make, and I had a few notes written down, which I'm not going to get into because you set the agenda, and I'll respect that. But I would just like to say that I talked to David over the last week. He was at a meeting. We've met with him a few times. I hear his concerns. I appreciate that. But the one thing I've offered him for the last week is get the group together. The group that he's talking to. He's been around town a lot. He's spent a lot of time talking to different people one-on-one. I've offered to him, and I'm sure he shared it with everyone. But if he hasn't, anyone that has any concerns with the deal the village is doing, the deal of my property, the store that I'm going to build, or what we're going to do to the Memorial Auditorium, please feel free to call me. I work at Swanton Lumber. I'm there every morning. I'm there every afternoon. If anyone that in David's group that has a concern, come see me. I'm happy to tell you everything that I've told David. I've told him everything about the deal. I've told him everything that I could possibly know. And I'm happy to share it with anyone that he represents. So that's my words. I'm very proud of this project. I'm proud of these gentlemen up here that have taken a bold effort and stepped out and said, let's get this downtown revitalized. Awesome. The Chipinellis, am I still okay?
You're good.
When we approached the village about the deal, they didn't come looking for me. I came looking for them. So these gentlemen right here did not solicit me. I solicited them. My second call, when they told me that, besides my wife Debbie, was to those two people right there at the Chippinellis. And I said to them a year ago, or 10 months ago, whenever it was, I will support you, we will find you a home, and I will work with you. I've been to, we formed a committee. I've been to, I don't think I missed many, I've been to every meeting. I said 10, David said it was different, but it's close. So if someone really wants to help and really wants to get this teen center going, let's put our positive energy towards the Chippinellis and that group and find them a better place. When I went to my first enhancement meeting with the Kilburns, there was a few meetings in, and Sean Cheney said, we can't, you remember this? We can't redevelop downtown without dealing with the block that you drive in when you first see it. And that resonated with me. And when we looked and looked and looked, this was the best place that we could go. And I thank those people standing there for taking an initiative. I know they've taken a lot of heat over the last few days, and they've made a bold move, and I applaud them. Thank you very much. 868-3355 if anyone wants to call.
Thank you, Gordon. All right, moving on to item 4A, annual report by the Swanton Enhancement Project Committee. Hank and Molly or Ross, or all three of you? Hank and Molly. We're going to give the room just a minute to clear a little bit. Okay, what's that? Yeah, you got a couple more. Do we have lunch coming? Thank you. Thank you, Dave. Tyler and Norm. Hey, Tyler and Norm. Come on before. It looks like you might be heading out. You want to come up here? Right up to the front.
I don't think David's.
Charlie, you're blocking that camera. You're good. All right. Hey, we just want to. There she is. The red light means she's on. I'll get done.
But you guys just say thank you. Thank you so much.
Tyler, thank you.
Thank you. Well, I don't know, he's probably going to come get us. Yeah, they have other kids, that's great. Now I got to go read my taxes I just did.
All right, 15-second warning.
They have me run the meetings.
No. 5 seconds. 4 seconds. 3 seconds. All right, folks. Item number 4A, under Community Economic Development. A is the annual report by the Swanton Enhancement Project Committee. Molly and Hank, thank you very much.
How fun is this to be at a meeting where the energy is so high, the positive energy is so good. So I always like to start out anything with thank you. And so I wanted to say thank you to all of you, our appointed and elected officials. The Swanton Enhancement Project started in 2013. And I believe it's 2017, well along toward the end of 2017. And we've accomplished a great deal.
And all of you have our annual report in your package, so you have the highlights. Hank and I brought some extra. They're over there on the table. We're not going to go through the annual report. We just want to say thank you. Thank you for what we've already done. Thank you to the chairs of our task forces for the incredible work that they have done over the last several years to make sure that we keep on track, to make sure that we turn our substance abuse committee into a prevention committee, a healthy community committee. Outdoor recreation, Ron has been so active in that regard. We have Hank, who's in charge of what he calls his beauty committee. There are so many citizens to thank. We are a very fortunate community. So I will say thank you for the past. And the reason that Hank and I are giving this report is because we were co-chairs for the last 3.5 years, and we're very proud to say that we have a new chair of the Swanton Enhancement Project. Ross Lavoie is here. And a new vice chair, Tyler Lunch, who isn't here, but is going to be a great and energetic partnership. So thank you for taking over. Hank's going to look ahead a little bit, and then I'll wrap up.
Yeah, just a few notes. Like Molly said, the report is on the table there, and there have even been a few changes in the report. But you know, we read the literature about community development, and we look at those communities that have been successful. And one of the things that is consistent is that there's collaboration, there's working together, and there's a spirit that evolves from that. And you, all of you around the table, are just have displayed that in such great terms. You have joint meetings, you work together, you are always collaborating. And so you've supported us financially, this Swanton Enhancement Project. Financially, your money goes a long way, and you've supported us with moral support. The Swanton Arts Council is a separate nonprofit entity. It has engaged citizens in dozens and dozens of cultural experiences over the last few years, and they're always coming up with new and fun activities, including a serious look at somehow reviving some piece or some aspect of the old Swanton Festival, where my dad used to volunteer as an auctioneer at those old festivals. Kathy Lavoie has been leading the task force to reduce substance abuse, working with a lot of others, including Sandy and many others in the community. Activities include the Knox Summer Day Camp, forums on underage drinking, child abuse, and the committee has collaborated with the Rutland Vision Program, Truckers Against Drugs, and many others. It's a vital and very active committee, and we're very happy, Kathy, for your leadership. The Beautification Committee is dedicating itself to enhancing Swanton's physical environment. Beauty in a committee, beauty is always in the eye of the beholder, but there seems to be some agreement that in a community, trees and flowers really spark it. So that's kind of what we've been working on. But we're also developing a 5-year plan and looking more strategically at how we might move forward with trees and flowers in particular. And we're also sending out a survey to citizens, asking them, what do you think would make Swanton a better looking place physically? How would you treat entrances into town, neighborhoods, and so on? So we'll be submitting a formal request for some financial support. We'll see how that goes. Outdoor recreation with financial support from Rise Vermont erected 16 signs and a map highlighting outdoor recreational opportunities in the town and village. Ron Kilburn was very instrumental in that. Betsy Fournier as well. The task force installed stairs for river access with the help of NVU students and staff members of the Northern Forest Canoe Trail. Economic Development Task Force, hiring Elizabeth here was a stroke of genius, something that I know Adam has been pushing for a long time, and a lot of people as well. And the decision was a wise one, and we're confident Elizabeth will enhance community and economic development for the long term. So that's just to highlight some of the things that are going on.
So just to wrap up, we have amazing good fortune to live in this community because we have a group of leaders that support enhancing our community. We work side by side with friends and neighbors who want to do everything to develop pride and welcome and wanting to make this community a place where we want to live and learn and work and play. And we have business owners like the Spaldings. How can we not think of the Spaldings this week, who understand the importance of contributing to a community as they operate a business. And we have Debbie and Gordon Winters with us this evening. These people know that a beautiful and healthy Swanton for decades to come is the legacy that they want to leave to all of us. So finally, I just want to say thank you to each of you. Hank and I have considered it a great privilege to be working with all of you in this effort, and we will certainly continue, but our leader is right there. So thank you.
And before... Sandy, we're going to let the boards go first.
Don't let it go away.
And just as the new chair, I want to say thank you to Hank and Molly, because if they weren't pushing me, bugging me with, not bugging me, but sending me emails, making sure I'm staying on track, Sandy and Ron for inviting me to their house on that first meeting a long time ago with Sean and a few other people to try and do something to help make our community a better place, keep people here, keep new people coming. So thank you guys for pushing us all along the last 4 years, and hopefully you'll be around to see where we go soon.
Questions, comments from other board members going around the room?
Thank you.
Good job.
So these folks are so very modest, thanking all of us, and we wouldn't be where we are today without Hank and Molly. They were the two people, I think, I won't remember if it was 5 or 6 of us in that first meeting, and they, after that first meeting, they had in their mind what we were going to do, and it was going to be this community visit that we had from rural development. And they took the time, and it was a big, big job. And it was slow, and people would get discouraged, and that's why we started planting all those flowers. We accomplished something. But, and we have a great community now, yeah. But none of this would have happened without Hank and Molly. And we will be eternally grateful for you and for what you have done. And while we're talking about remembering people and thanking people, I want to thank Neil for the letter that he wrote about Dexter Spalding's paper tonight.
All right, thank you very much.
So I just need to give a media culpa. You do not have the report in the packet, and that's on me. So I'll get that out to you. If you're wondering why you don't have it,
and we'll make sure too that it's posted on the website. There are many more than 10 people here.
Okay, well, any other public comments? Frank and Molly, thank you very much for what you've done. It's awesome. 4B, discuss 2018 economic development budget. I'm assuming the reason that is on the agenda is because right now we just have a one-year commitment and it ends sometime in 2018. I think we're about halfway through right now. And make it a discussion item here of not only the salary for the position, but also anything additional that should be in that budget line item. So open the floor up. If there's much discussion or not tonight, we'll see where that goes. First, it's going to be the boards, then we'll open to the public. Eugene.
Yes, I would support this full-time position. I think the cost is reasonable. And I think we're going to see some proceeds very soon.
Okay. Adam, I know you sent a letter to everybody.
I sent a letter as chair of the SCP Economic Development. Letter of support on behalf of the Economic Development Task Force. Again, this was a dream of mine many years ago, and it's nice to see the fruits of your dream come true. You know, it's amazing. She's done an amazing job. She's just beginning. As I said in the letter 6 months ago, you know, I don't know what we could have done without her 6 months ago. So.
Not as much.
Not as much.
All right,
It's
that's
great to
in
have
page
her.
5 of the.
Okay, it is.
Yeah,
Okay.
they made it in there for tonight.
So, yeah, I fully support a full-time position.
Okay, Chris?
I also support a full-time position. I mean, this, I didn't realize how much of a kickstart this was to have an actual coordinator, somebody with enough, as much energy and foresight as Elizabeth has. As a taxpayer and a member of this community, I support this position, to go into full-time position, and also I suspect that there should be some more money involved.
Okay. Rich?
Yeah, this position couldn't have come at a better time for myself as the manager for the village, with the water line getting completed and the bag deflating, and it's just been hectic and crazy, and she's taken so much off my plate and focusing on the community as a whole while I'm focusing on the businesses. I just can't tell you how much help that's been. I mean, I see her, 3 times a week, maybe 4. You get emails, you get phone calls, and it's constant update, running information off me, you know, for a bunch of stuff. So it's a continuous collaboration, and I just can't tell you how much it's helped.
Yeah, and I'd like to go on record too. I've seen how much close cooperation there's been with the village, with the town, on just developing contacts right now, and that's going to take many months before, you know, the big win is there. But if you don't have the time because you're doing your day-to-day stuff and David's doing his day-to-day stuff, then it doesn't get done. And I just watched and get the weekly reports of who we're contacting and who we're talking with and what we're trying to work and make happen. So it seems to me in a very short time we've seen quite a bit of progress, and I'm very interested in seeing it go forward. So appreciate the comments that we're getting.
I'd like to say, as the old man on the board, I know Adam's been pushing this, but it seems to me, in my recollection, that maybe 20 years ago, we wanted the same type position, but we didn't have the enthusiasm to pass it. We put a line item on the ballot in the March meeting for an economic development coordinator position, and it was voted down. And it's refreshing to see that our new group, well, I mean, I'm part of the new group too, but has the vision to see what a value we have in our economic development coordinator. And she's been really good, like you say, at tying both boards together, tying the deal with Gordon and Debbie together, and it's really refreshing that we finally filled the position, and I'm fully supportive of it.
Amen.
Thank you. David?
Yeah, I just want to mention in your packet, Kathy, one of your town clerk, did kind of a simplified spreadsheet of the expenses that are right in the target for the 6-month period. And the reason this is on the agenda is because the next 6 months will run out midterm in 2018. So that gap after that is what would need to be addressed in the budget. And I would say on Elizabeth's behalf, that job, based on the amount of work I've seen her doing, going to meetings in different places, meeting with people here from Canada and other towns, that really is just about a full-time job. So I think it would be something that should be budgeted for that amount of time.
Okay, thank you, David. Any other board members?
I just, you know, when we started this, it was a pilot program, and it still is. But I've seen, I think we really, with the interview process that the folks did, and they recommended to the select board to hire her, they did an amazing job. She's definitely the right person for the job. She's brought a lot of professionalism and a lot of, you know, bi-monthly, she has a report for us of what she's working on. She's not a slacker, she's a go-getter, and it's been a huge asset to our community. I think budgets are coming up, and we gotta sit down and decide what we're gonna do with budgets.
Second meeting in December, general budget.
Yeah, thank you, Elizabeth.
Yeah, Elizabeth, I would just like to say, you know, for everybody is that, you know, you bring a lot of breath of fresh air. I mean, you know, your enthusiasm, you know, like Danny was saying, but it just generates. And, you know, a lot of this tonight, you could just see the people's faces just smiling and jumping, knowingly that you're there for them, but also looking out for everybody's best interests. And I just want to say thank you for your enthusiasm and welcome aboard.
Well, I'm mildly embarrassed, I'll just let you know. And a little awkward because I'm typing what you all are saying. It's weird to me, but thank you. Not to get all wishy-washy and all, this is exactly what I want to be doing, so.
Good, you said you weren't going to get wishy-washy.
Other board members?
And
Just interested, keep thinking, yes.
I would just like to say too, one of the reasons Elizabeth's so great for what she does is because she wears so many hats. So she can come to our meetings and talk about some of the stuff that's going on with you guys and help us network. It's all about that networking. So because she's got connections with Reg and, you know, everybody, she kind of knows the back things that are going on. So if I can say to her, and she's involved in SEP with us as well, so I can say, wait, I don't quite understand, and she's got that answer. And so part of the reason her position is working so well, I think right now, is because she's wearing a couple different hats and kind of pulling in those loose ends that we need, and it's been really great.
Thank you.
You certainly put her through the test the first year.
Oh, yes, we have. That's good. That's what we want. Trial by fire. Kathy.
Yes, so now I'm speaking for the Workforce Investment Board as Executive Director and as a board member for FCIDC, and Kim wishes he could be here as well. But she's been amazing. We only have her a few hours a week, but she is, number one, she is an independent worker. And we know that if we give her a task or ask her to look up stuff, she does it. We don't have to question what she's doing or how she's doing it. And if you work with me, I work at all hours of the night, and I don't think there's ever been a time I've texted her that she hasn't responded, so that's really good. But she's been our eyes and ears in Enosburg and their economic development initiative. She is submitting a grant to expand the cross-border mapping that FCIDC and the Chamber did, which is an incredible map. We can't keep them into the rest areas, so we need to expand them. It's a great map. I wish I had brought some. It shows the cross borders from Vermont into Canada and back, and the attractions in between. So it's a really great map. So there it is, and she's writing a grant for that. She did 2 small grants for Northwestern Medical Center for us to help fund the valet parking. And now she's actually submitting a couple of EDA grants, which are federal grants with some pretty substantial money for the expansion of infrastructure for a couple of businesses, one of which is in the Swanton Highgate area. So her work with FCIDC has been amazing, and we're very fortunate to have her. And we hope if you make her full-time, we still get her 10 or 15 hours.
Thank you. Kathy, thank you. Anybody else before we move on? Holly?
Just as Kathy reminded us, FCIDC has also contributed to Elizabeth's salary. Using Elizabeth 8 hours a week, we may want to continue that arrangement, but somebody should ask Tim and the board.
That's what that's who I was here speaking.
I couldn't hear you.
Yeah, no, we certainly are interested in state.
Great.
Excellent.
I'd just like to speak as a taxpayer. I think the Teen Center is an investment in the youth. The economic development is an investment in the community's future. And I think that's vital right now, and I think you can't ever look at dollars and cents because it's going to pay itself off in no time at all. And I really think the job needs to be full-time to do it justice. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Karen.
Debbie Winters, I just want to say that Elizabeth has been wonderful to work with through the projects that we've been working on, and it is so nice for a business owner community, and Sean, I'm sure you could say this too. It's just nice to have a single point of contact. You know, if you're just like, who do I call? And it's Elizabeth, and she'll get it. You know, and she's been great with other things too. And I call her, I'm like, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? And she's been really, really nice, giving me a lot of ideas about stuff. And I think it absolutely is critical. It's a full-time position, absolutely.
Excellent. Thank you. Thanks for the input. Anybody else? All right, moving on to 4C. I'm assuming that's you, David, State Parcel Mapping Project.
So last year, I received an email from the state's Geographic Information Service office advising me of a new mapping program that was being funded by the Agency of Transportation. And they were asking for towns to sign up for the first year. It involves, and I immediately sent in our town's name to get on board. And after several months of state processes of getting it set up, we finally are at the point where 2 weeks ago I received another email from them advising that they had approved our project. What it involves is a free mapping service paid for by the AOT using our current mapping contractor, which is CAI Technologies out of Littleton, New Hampshire. They're a great company. They do fantastic work on our maps. And the other benefit that we received from this is that that company, CAI, agreed to give the town a discount to do the rest of the town east of West Swanton to what they call correct the spatial errors that are in the map. When you look on the map on the website now, you'll notice that some of the roads and property lines don't match correctly, and that's because the previous mapping company the town had based its maps on paper maps. This company bases their maps on aerial photography, so they're more accurate. And what they'll be doing with the spatial corrections is getting everything lined up properly so the property line will be in the right place and the roads or the rivers will be in the right place. And they've already started that aspect of it. They're waiting for the state to finalize their contract with them to pay for that portion of it. So when it's all said and done, the town's mapping should be in pretty great shape, and at least a part of it will be free to the town.
Thank you, Dan. Yep. Any questions? Moving on, discuss creation of historic district ordinance and commission. So who's got the lead on that?
That's me. So, as part of the certified local government, which again means nothing to anybody, but it is a state designation that is based around historic preservation, and it's mainly for education and outreach. I know some of you have heard this speech more than once, so bear with me. Part of that is that you need to set up a historic preservation commission, and the town and the village, because they're separate municipalities, have to act on this separately. The commission can be the same people, they just have to act on the town, anything for the town separately from the village. The update is, so the village is moving forward, and I hope the town follows shortly behind, but I think maybe getting one settled makes some sense, particularly because it's a village. The village on Monday approved the ordinance to establish a historic preservation commission with 3 members meeting at least quarterly. So that process has started. I think when Diane comes, and correct me if I'm wrong, Reggie, when Diane Day comes back from training, we'll get all of that finalized and start looking for the 3 commission members. If anybody wants a copy of the ordinance, we can provide that, and then once that whole process.
Posted or something.
Yeah, it's posted and all of that. So it is there is some grant money, because that's the thing that everybody's interested in. There is some grant money. Again, it is for education and outreach more than bricks and mortar. But it's the first step toward that, and it'll give us some leeway to do some education and outreach. And one of the things that we may want to look at, and I think we may pursue, is a National Historic Register district. We are, correct me if I'm wrong, Ron, we are a state, part of the village center is a state district?
Yes.
Okay, so we may want to, and Caitlin from the state was here yesterday, and she said that will give some weight to being on the national register as well. So that's kind of the quick update on that. Yes, ma'am.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, sorry.
So that's the update on the...
Yeah, that's...
Okay. Board members?
Thank you.
Okay, yeah, sorry.
So Caitlin was mentioning that by having that federal designation that you could go for federal historic tax credits, but you had to have that designation first, right?
Yes. And because there are state tax credits available to anybody within the village center, but if you get the national, then that opens up federal funding.
So would this include the historic district ordinance and commission? Would it, you said it would open up grants, would that be for like single family homes too, to help?
That would have to look, like I haven't gotten that far yet.
Historic homes here and fixing them up, or?
I'd have to look.
Yes.
Would it?
You know?
There is access to funds for private residents that are historic.
Well, as part of the village
But not
center
through that program.
designation, that's the separate.
A house on its own can stand alone and apply for federal funds if the house is on the national register. And all that
Yeah,
requires.
I'm not talking about federal funds.
I just.
Okay. A lot of details to work out and move forward with. Discuss revival of annual Swanton Festival.
I'm on the Swanton Enhancement Project Committee also, and at a recent meeting, someone brought this up, that it would be good to have a group working on this. This festival occurred before my time here, so I'm not real familiar with it, but Hank touched on it earlier when he was speaking, so maybe he'd like to elaborate a little more on what it involved and what it would take to bring it back.
You should do that. Actually, I know a little about it. The Swanton Arts Council was taking it under their wing and brought some people together, and they had I think kind of an art spectacular that was kind of the beginning of some activity. But other than that, I think they're probably looking for input and a committee to carry it forward.
Any history on it? I mean, the Baxmans, I mean, the chamber and your mother back in the day.
And him.
And Neil, absolutely Brian Savage, you know.
We've all been part of it.
Yeah, yeah.
Good or bad. So an awareness item, right, David? That it's being looked at this stage, early stages, which fits into another item down here, not necessarily quite the same time frame, but okay. Dam repair, Reggie.
Yeah, let me I'd like to take the opportunity when we're all together, at least to give everybody, an update on what's going on there. So, what happened back in June when it deflated. So the process to rebuild the dam, that was on schedule, but during this process, the manufacturer always said that everything was on schedule. Well, not the delivery, unbeknownst to me. So by the time that October came around, well, the bag is done, but not the delivery. So the delivery isn't until December 1st. So remember way back when, I can rewind that there was a discussion about doing a repair, and that was exorbitant. So recently they came up and they said, well, we could do a repair maybe all in all with crane and everything else for $50,000. Well, if that individual would have brought it up to me in October and August when it was warmer, we probably would have had it done. Well, the weather, if I open that bag up and now we get water that's overflowing and I fill that bag up, I rip it off the abutment, I've created all kinds of hazards. So at this point right now, looking at forward forecasts and stuff, it doesn't look like it's going to be economical at all or feasible or safe to try to do a repair this fall into the winter. But what we have been doing, we have been able to inflate the bag. And we've been able to inflate it to about 3 to 4 feet. It gets above that, it puts the pressure on it, and then that leak appears. So we have been getting more head doing that, and we've been producing. The other day it was about almost 4 meg. So in this time of year, that's actually pretty darn good. So the folks have been working very diligently, Scott and the group up there, doing that process and following through that. So like I said, there's always a higher power looking over Swanton, and I think for whatever reason they still are. And hopefully we make it through this winter, and we'll see what happens. Yeah, so within all this said too, the trash rack, the crane had issues because it's fully extended, and I think the shaft was bended, so that's sent out to be repaired. So right now we can't break the racks like we should. So the production is low, but when we get that extra head, we're able to do so. So if anybody has any questions.
Is the bag on its way?
The bag is a slow boat from China.
Literally.
Literally. This morning we took delivery of the abrasion pad, which is basically, it's a rubber membrane about 4 millimeters thick that'll cover the top of the OG dam and along the sides. So when that other dam comes in, then you put it on top, when it flexes back and forth, now it's not rubbing against concrete. It's rubbing against an abrasive pad. So that, we took a delivery of that this morning and offloaded that. So first week of December, we had the crane company in here today, and they did we're actually going to store it in the substation.
So will you put it on this winter or wait till spring?
No, we got to wait till spring. That was the other thing. We'd have to build a road in the front.
Right.
So with the water levels going up and down, so the dam can only handle 2,000 CFS, the plant. And the nominal river flows for this time of year are 22 to 26 CFS, so cubic feet per second, which means the dam is going to get overtopped, which means your workspace is going to get flooded and you're going to have to deal with ice and everything else. So the crane operator says, I can't safely put my crew there or keep that road open that we have to build in front of it in order to install it, and I agree. So that's what we're going to try to do. December, January timeframe, it goes down, but then you get snow melt and everything else, and winters are changing. So this is too volatile right now, so we're thinking we can get through this springtime, early summer, when you get, everything starts to settle down, and you get a window and stuff, it'd be about a week and a half that we can get in there. In the summertime, if you overtop, you're not worried about it because you don't have to deal with ice. So that's where we are with that.
Thank you, Reggie. 5A, discuss 50th anniversary plaque for Vermont Precision Tools. David?
Yep, again, on the SEP committee, this was mentioned. Their 50th anniversary is this year, and there was a request that the town and the trustees get a plaque that would honor Vermont Precision Tools for their longevity. So that's on the table tonight. I don't know if Hank or Molly want to elaborate any more on that. So anyway, that's the request that was made, to have all the towns.
So is it this year, David, or next year, 2018?
2018.
It was only mentioned, there's no year was mentioned at the time that I heard it.
So I had brought it up at the SEP meeting that I thought it would be a nice gesture for what they do to the community. And, I mean, outside of just being a good manufacturer in the area, there's a lot of volunteer firefighters that work there, and they give them the ability to come and respond nighttime, daytime, that kind of stuff, so it's, they're good neighbors, so.
I think we should let you and David kind of come up with a proposal and let the boards go forth if they want to, and it makes sense to me, and we set up a time, we present it to them, see who can make it, and present it to them, closer to the actual date.
For what it's worth, when they do it, they are gonna have a celebration, so maybe that's, you know.
Yeah, well, we can discuss with them, and, yeah, you can see what's a good date, and present it, and be very appropriate. Discuss proposed flags for veterans display on Memorial Day. It's on the last page of the handout. I think David was the one who saw this and wanted to consider putting this forward.
Yeah, in an email I sent out several months ago, on my way down to Pennsylvania, I was traveling through upstate New York through a small town called Windsor, New York. Very New England type of town with a nice village green and gazebo. And as I was passing through, I just noticed all these flags all over the village green. And it just caught my eye, so after I passed it, I stopped, turned around, and went back and took a lot of photos of it. And what they did for Memorial Day was have all of these flags lined up in formation, like a military formation, with two tags on them. One was in honor of the veteran who was being recognized on the flag. Some were deceased, some were still living. And also a tag with the name of the party that donated the flag in honor of the veteran. And it was so striking, so beautiful, that I thought, you know, the Swanton, the village and the town, if they gave permission to use the village green, maybe we could come up with something like this for next Memorial Day. And I would work with veterans groups in town and anyone else who's interested to try to set this up. It was very beautiful. A lot of people were stopping there to get out of their car and walk around and look at the flags and take pictures and read the names on the labels. So if both groups gave the blessing to doing that, I'd be willing to spearhead an effort to try to make it happen here.
When's the first of the village for the
Done.
Do it. Agreed.
Do it. Do it.
We're good.
Okay. I'm good for a couple of flags once you pull it together, I'll tell you that.
And it's, you know, we can coordinate something with the Memorial Day Parade as well. Do maybe a little ceremony or something to that effect.
And
I think that'd be great.
Something Adam asked me about at the beginning of this, before the meeting started. 100th anniversary of Corporal Lord being killed in World War I is next April, and from Swanton, and they named the. Thank you. It's getting late. They named the Armory after Corporal Lord, and I know there's some talk at the state level trying to organize something to happen in April right on in Flatiron Park, and we'll see if that takes some traction, because it's coming pretty quick now. Something for everybody to keep in mind. So thank you, David. Thanks for thinking of the veterans, and as a veteran, I think it's a great idea.
Does anybody have any idea how much a flag like that would cost?
No, but there's a company called Carrot Top Industries that make flags. Depending on what type of material you want to buy, it varies. They're not real expensive. If you want a higher quality one, of course, you pay more. But if you Google that, Carrot Top Industries, you can get an idea.
Because I know I'd buy two.
Are they made in the United States or China?
We shouldn't be buying them if they aren't. I fully agree. And I'm sure we could find some for a reasonable price. These aren't real huge ones. One thing, whoever's working, it's a lot of details, because once the event's over, that's a lot of flags to store, and we want to make sure we got a commitment to store them, but it'd sure be nice to see that out every year at Memorial Day.
Absolutely.
Showing Swanton's commitment to
Fit nice in the community center.
Upstairs.
Excellent, excellent.
On 4th Street.
Discuss 5C, discuss annual Swanton fireworks celebration. I think I'm going to look right at John LaVoy on that one.
So, you know, when we celebrated, you know, think it was 200 years?
250.
250. We had fireworks on the bridge. You know, we kind of stopped traffic, and everybody went down. It was just amazing that, you know, we had so many people on the bridge. It was such a great time. And, you know, and I'm saying, that was how many years ago?
3. Was it 4? 4 or 5?
It's all 4 or 5.
Yeah.
And yet, we stopped. Just because it's 250 years doesn't mean that we have to stop. You know, I go to Bakersfield. My daughter's boyfriend's from there, so we went up to one of their celebrations, the 4th of July. It's unbelievable. A little town of Bakersfield. I believe it's smaller than us. And they put on such a show, it's just unbelievable. And I look back and I said, why can't we do this? Because if we're trying to bring people here, just like we did for the festival, back years ago when I was young when that was going on, but I was old enough to be there. Sometimes because I wasn't supposed to be there either, but the fact of the matter is, when we had the festival, we had people coming from everywhere.
That's true.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So why can't we have fireworks every year? We spend money for items, you know, in our budgets that sometimes we don't always spend our money. And to bring more people to our town, to promote our town, and make it an annual thing, I think it's a great thing to do. And, you know, you can have it on the bridge like we did. You can have it so you have, you know, a cookout in the park, and you can have food for people to just make an all-day affair or a half-a-day affair, whatever it might be. But the fact of the matter is that we stopped it. And we haven't had anything since. But yeah, I look at all these other little communities smaller than us, and they do way more than that. What's wrong with us? And I think that it would be very beneficial for all of us to have this. You know, and I made a statement, you know, and I'll go on record to say it. If this doesn't happen, I'll give my resignation. Because you know what? This is very important to me and to everybody in this town. You know, everybody's here with a lot of energy. We found the money. So let's find the money for our fireworks. If I have to go and get some firecrackers from across the line, Ron, you come with me and you put them in your pocket as we drive by. Huh? But the fact of the matter is, this shouldn't even be a topic. Because we're not talking a lot. And yet we're talking to bring the community together.
I'll let James go first.
We touched on this last night, and some of you may or may not know, but we have a large country artist coming next summer, or as part of a fundraiser for, help me, Amy. Cancer.
Cancer.
Yeah, and this will be a major West Swanton event. But like John says, go up on Swanton Hill, July 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th, every community's got fireworks, and we do not. Franklin does, you know. So, you know, our car show, our fireworks, this country festival that's going to raise money. This is all going to bring revenues to gas stations, to Rudy's, to Swanton Rexall, whatever. So, you know, I think a task force in place to see what kind of summer events we can hold within reason that brings the community together, but also brings outsiders in to help support our community. So
the event in West Swanton may very well be an annual event.
Well, again, the Swanton Festival, there's talk of that being annual, and they all fall in that July period, the card show and everything. So I know for a few negative reasons we lost our festival. It went on for a long time. Obviously, it really hit its heyday after the fire on Merchants Row and all the outside support that we got from that event. And it was just a tremendous event for the town that went away. You know, a few people were upset, maybe with the week-long festivities, and it infringed on their livelihood, and rightly so. But you know, some of these events, put together in different locations, all in a 1 week, 10-day period would, you know, we have a lot of campers that come to Lakewood or anywhere in the area, and when they find out events like this, they're gonna bring their family for the evening and spend locally and enjoy, and this may be a kickoff to get a local restaurant going or something like that. You know, it's, the more people coming into this community, it's gonna bring income, so I support that, John.
Thanks, Jim.
John? Yeah, I think so when we did that for the 250, it was about $3,000, I think. And that was fully fundraised.
It was a good bargain price then.
Yeah, yeah. I know you talked about it after that. You were on the bridge and you came around and you run us down and stuff. So, I mean, were you thinking 4th of July or around Swanton's birthday?
We can do it whenever is the best time, you know.
I would say 4th of July, that's when all the other towns are.
And again, if you do it 4th of July, you're competing
competing
with all the other established, Payday.
Yeah.
You know,
see, that's why it was so
Albert,
inexpensive.
Bakersfield hometown days. If our birthday is just
I know a guy that's
time,
licensed to let them off, so if you need something.
Oh, there's a lot of people that's want to let them off.
David, I'm gonna try to keep this moving, David.
Yeah, well, I can imagine, we can talk about when. 4th of July. I'm in favor. Thank you. I agree with you.
Fair I went to last month, one of the exhibitors there was one of the biggest fireworks companies in the state. I put a brochure of each of your mail folders at the office after that meeting. He told me that the 4th of July, because it's so popular, you have to book way ahead of time to get them. And it's also more expensive. He said like Memorial Day or some other holiday throughout the year is easier to book for, and they charge less for those. So, but if right now is the time to start looking and booking for later in the year.
Let's add it to the agenda.
Okay.
We need to discuss it. It's gonna take some organization and planning, and we might as well get it on the next agenda item. I think the village is supportive of it, and then whether we wrap it into some other event that's happening might make sense.
And that's my point. I mean, you look at what's going to happen next Saturday after Thanksgiving. We're doing Christmas in Swanton. We've got 4 different events going on at the same time. Well, not the same time, but throughout the day. And our hope is to capture a lot of people and keep them here and keep them excited about what's going on. Show them that there is life after 6 o'clock.
You will,
you know?
there's a party at the bee after.
Yes. Yes, and there is an ugly sweater competition Saturday night. So.
One more thing on this company. Larry told me that he'd be willing to come up free of charge, look at different locations, and then give an estimate on what they would charge to do the display.
All right, we'll take it.
We get a less reputable company than we drop a few fireworks down the Foskey's building. We can redevelop that too.
I go with Sandy.
Just a little info about the Swanton Summer Festival and what's going on now. I think one of the big reasons, since I was pretty involved, as was Ron as chair one year, that we don't do it anymore is because people are so busy that they don't have time to be involved. And it's, to do that for a week took a lot of people.
It's a lot of work. I was a 5-person committee for 8 years.
Right.
And it was tough.
But I really like what you're doing now through the chamber, and where you're having all these separate events that are bringing people in, and I think that's a great way to do it.
Tell her, she's the leader.
Suzanne, I think that we have to recognize the contributions Swan Arts Council has made to this community and having everything together. So tying all of that with Adam's hard work, and I think Mark left past his bedtime for the car show, but if it's okay, because I'm speaking, it saddens me on the 4th of July that we have nothing going on in our community. We don't even have a little parade with the kids that can, you know, put clothespins on their bicycles and streamers and have a little celebration and go down the street. And I remember when my kids were little, we lived in Williston, I would have big deal. The kids spend a lot of time putting streamers on their bikes and cards and, you know, lights, and we had such a good time. We don't do anything like that here. So we don't have to be big. We can just start with something really small. You know, maybe they end up down at the Maple City Creamery, you know, get an ice cream. I don't know what it is, but something in the park. I mean, we could, going through other communities, you see chicken barbecues and bingos, and, you know, you don't need a bouncy house. We have other things that we can do. We don't need to spend the money on that. But I'd like to see that, because we're talking about developing this community and building it up. And these kinds of activities really pull a community together. And if they top it off with fireworks, it's a no-brainer. People will come.
We will put it on our next agenda. We'll encourage people. What's that?
Swanton Festival used to have the kitty parade, and that would be a fun event, like for the 4th of July weekend or another weekend. And we talk about we need to have positive opportunities for the kids to get involved and to feel good about themselves and build their self-esteem. And that's also a good way to get parents interacting with their child, with their kid, for something like that.
Okay. All right, next item, town website updates. Eugene? I didn't see your hand. Oh.
I'm fine. I wanted you to move on.
Okay. Just tell James to kick me under the table.
Can't kick that ball.
Town website updates. What do we have on that, David?
Just what I mentioned to the board already, wanted to tell everyone here. One, I'm working on an alphabetical list of all the different pages, as opposed, they'll still be listed on the sidebar the way they are now, but by going to the alphabetical listing, you'll be able to find things quicker. Right now, they're kind of in an order of priority. And the other is that I've created economic development pages. The main one on the website, if you click on the picture on that, it'll take you to some others. And when Elizabeth has some time, I'm going to train her on how to add material to those pages that are designed exclusively for her use. So that's up and coming.
Okay. Thank you, David. A lot of information on that. Now, item E got added to the agenda, and Ron caught me on the way in. As the one who's chairing this meeting, I think we got to be a little bit careful here, because I think the village really needs to be the lead on this, and correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think there's anybody around this table who doesn't want to see the bandstand and the fountain repaired, but whose responsibility it is and so on. I think the lead comes from the village. I may be wrong here, but I don't think so. And so there's some information flowing around and some estimates, but
we can't do anything tonight.
Right, as a member of the town, I'm willing to say.
What Ron has already presented.
I don't really want to present to the public any numbers or any quotes or anything until you say we're ready to really go forward and this is what we want to do as the village. All from a town perspective, fully supported. It's all part of the enhancement of this community and part of making it better. And applaud Ron for wanting to move it forward and stuff. I just, from contractual reasons and other reasons, just want to be a little bit careful there, and that's my 2 cents.
Have you guys had any meetings with the trustees regularly meeting with the fountain or the bandstand on your agenda to talk about it?
Ron came in and asked if we'd be interested in it, but that was before he got any questions on the He has that to present to us.
More to come.
But we have to deliberate that in our meeting.
Maybe next meeting. Just give us a second. Give us a chance to discuss as the boards, and then we open it to the public. Okay?
But, yeah, we'll put it on the agenda for our next meeting.
Okay.
Yes, that's okay as well.
I forgot what I was going to say. Can I stand?
Yeah.
You guys appreciate these seats.
No.
Stand up a minute. I appreciate it. It's nice to see everybody here around the table, in the same room at the same time. It's been a long time, but it's really nice to see you all together, especially in a positive atmosphere where everybody is really feeling good about Swanton and its future. I'm not here tonight to ask for money. What I'm here, though, is to remind you that as the representatives of the people in this community, you represent the owners of some of the greatest real estate in our town, and that is our village and town green. It is one of the most historic sites in the state of Vermont. It has a tremendous history going back to the 1700s, and it's something to really be proud of. In the old days, originally, the town green was just that. It had a fence around it, and it was for keeping livestock. We've passed beyond that. Our fences are in other places now, and the green is open. So if you want a reason to celebrate, you can use fireworks if you like. But I say, let's celebrate the completion early this coming year, in the spring, of the restoration of the fountain and the restoration of the bandstand. It isn't going to take a lot of money. And look at the money you've already saved tonight. Look what you've generated. So it is going to be a big deal. All I did was to find a couple of vendors, a couple of contractors who could give you some numbers. And I can understand and appreciate those concerned for not putting that in public just yet. You're probably going to want to talk to these people who have spent the time to come up with numbers with regard to what it would cost. But just keep in mind, it needs major work on that fountain. It isn't going to last another year without a lot of help. And I know the temptation will be to do it simply. Let's just get some concrete, fill in the gaps for another year. But it's going to take major surgery. And so I ask you to treat it seriously, to recognize the value of this resource to our community. The fountain is well over 100 years old, and the bandstand also. They're historic sites in themselves. So take the time, deliberate if you need to as two boards, or if you want to pass it on to another board, that's fine. But somebody do something to sign up some people to do the work. Now, I know the tendency is going to be to give it to the voters at an annual meeting. You may want to do it that way, but I suggest that the money is small enough so that you could build it into your budget, town and village, and get the things fixed. You'll feel better, and I will too.
Love your passion, Ron. Absolutely, and all the groundwork you laid for this. I walked around that fountain, and you were correct. It's not going to last much longer. Yeah. Anything else on that, folks? I know it's getting late. I'm not trying to rush it along, but trying to keep things moving. I-89, exit 21. Adam Paxman.
Yes, sir, thank you. I want to look into doing a traffic study and possibly getting a traffic light up at the bottom of that exit ramp. I'm sure John has run into times where you're sitting on the Missisquoi Bridge waiting for traffic to die down. I've been told that it has to go through the state AOT and
federal too.
And federal too? Okay. So how do we go about doing that?
We'll engage the state.
Either David or Reggie request a traffic study in the state of Vermont if we get started in May.
Even though it's not in the village, we can do it.
The town will take it on. I'm the road commissioner.
Oh, okay.
We will take that on.
You'll take that, okay.
We contact the state and let them know what our concern is, and we want to get a study. And were you talking about that backs up on the interstate? That is a serious accident.
It's one life. It's one less life sometime, and it's I'll use the word stupidity of the people who try to go down the right-hand side just to cut around and go around. It just makes the situation worse.
Traffic study in West Swanton on Lake too, so we could ask for both at the same time.
So it's time. We're growing. It's time.
Yeah, it's time.
So thank you.
Okay.
I appreciate it.
Adam, thanks for bringing that up. David, would you put that on the agenda we got highway coming up anyway next week? Route 105 traffic near Rocky Ridge.
Yeah, so today at work, I have a gentleman that lives up by Rocky Ridge, and he wanted me to bring it up tonight. And it's probably more in the format of maybe some police patrolling or maybe a sign, but he has kids there that when the bus showed up the other morning, bus stopped, the kids have to come across the road to enter onto the bus. So the bus is stopped. There's a little bit of a rise right there at that intersection area. And so the bus was stopped, lights were out, kids started coming across the road, car never even stopped. Okay? So I think, you know, and this is like the second time this has happened in 2 years. You know, we know they all travel down there very fast and very quickly. But I think what we need to maybe start or to have out there is some sort of a warning sign or something before that rise saying, hey, bus, you know, school kids loading or something, or a flashing light or whatever that it is, because it's just enough that the traffic doesn't quite see it, and then all of a sudden there it is, and sometimes it's going to just be too late. He was very concerned, and you know, he's got 2 kids that enter that bus, and I'm sure there's probably more, but the traffic, you know, flow that we've had studies and everything else down there, we know the speeds that are going on down there. Somehow I think we need to put up some sort of a sign that would give us some sort of a warning to let them know that school kids are entering.
Same thing happened with Route 78 right here with the school going from 50 to 35. It's a state highway. It's got to be dealt with to the state Vermont. We can't do anything there.
I think
you got to go.
I'm very familiar with that intersection. I work it quite often, and the simple fix is the bus company has the opportunity multiple places to turn around and pick those students up so they're not crossing the road. There's no doubt about it. The town line ends just a little further down. You've got Charbonneau's gravel storage, that huge contractor yard. So those kids, if those kids are crossing the highway, that's a bus company issue.
But as far as putting flashing signs, flashing lights or signs, the state has to do that. We can't do that.
Oh yeah, that's class 1 road and it's A-lane.
All right. Can I say something real quick? That I second what he said. I live about 1.5 miles from that same incident. My 2 kids cross the road the same way. It's very dangerous. They're 12 and 8 years old, and I still to this day don't let them cross that road again on a bus unless I'm standing out there, because my son almost got hit out there about 5 years ago. It's very dangerous. And there's no reason why that, like you said, that bus can't turn around this point. And there's other towns that do the same thing. And
they're doing a screwy route up there now.
And there's no reason.
Because they go up to like above Fairfield, you know, Fairfield Mill or wherever, and the route is really kind of screwy.
But there's 2 different buses from my house to where he's talking about.
Well, there's 4 that come up Woods Hill.
Yeah, well, there's 2 separate buses from my house, 1.5 miles apart, pick kids up, so.
I think first step then maybe is to contact the school board, which I think we as the town, since it's the town of Swanton area, about our concerns with how unsafe that is, and they should relook at the bus route and picking them up, but not having them cross the road, because people, you know, 50 miles an hour is just a starting point as far as the speed they're gonna go on that road.
Well, I'll also, tomorrow when I see him at work, I'll mention it, and he can at least probably maybe get things also going.
He should be calling them as well, so they
in the bus terminal to get them to turn around that concept.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, John. Public comments, second round. Hearing none. Upcoming events, Tuesday, November 21st, 7 p.m. is the next select board meeting. Thursday and Friday, 23rd and 24th, Thanksgiving Day holiday, municipal offices closed. Is that the same for the village?
Yes.
Yes, okay, so both will be closed the 23rd and 24th. Yes.
The village is closing at 1 on Wednesday.
Yeah, the front offices and people are staying around.
Okay.
Just to back up one, if I might add, next Tuesday, that agenda's already set.
No, the agenda will probably go out. Did you send it out yet?
No, tomorrow.
It'll go out tomorrow.
Okay.
So we can get some of those items we talked about tonight on that agenda.
You guys will kind of follow up.
Yep.
Great,
thanks, Jane. Executive session, any need?
Can I just add one thing to upcoming events?
Yes.
29th is the next SCP, Swanton Enhancement Project meeting. It's going to be at the Historical Society, so any people are welcome.
Okay.
You guys,
Meeting?
what?
That's the
Steering committee.
I'm gonna turn the heat
I don't think I have that notice, so I'll get my books balanced.
It's supposed to come, Elizabeth was gonna send it this, today, tomorrow, next couple days.
But if, Ross, if you could get your agenda or what your meetings are to David, we could put it on our meetings, like
In the
Joel does
future.
for our upcoming events.
Okay, thanks.
One last upcoming too.
Okay,
And just a reminder, next Saturday, the 25th, Christmas in Swanton. Stay local. Local. November 25th is small business. Shop local, yes. Small business Saturday.
excellent.
Shop local, and hope to see everybody out at Christmas in the Park and our new event at night.
All right, David,
You forgot one item at the beginning, the minutes from last year's meeting.
I didn't forget that. I told each board to take it separately and approve them if they wanted, because we can't approve anything as a total board, right?
No, you can do it individually.
Then we can do that at our own meetings if we choose to.
Yeah, I know, I thought that.
I just asked if anybody had anything that's changed, and we left it at that. Each board has it for action. Reg?
So just one comment that I think there's a lot of energy in this room, but I think that as this board, there's a lot of information that we miss because we don't see the planning commission a lot. I think we should meet more than once every, 2 months or so. And if you wanted to ask myself and David to schedule our meetings quarterly, that we can do this, that these agenda items, the agenda would be squished down, but at least we're sharing information that helps improve our growth in the community as a whole.
I would recommend every 6 months. I may be wrong, but.
But we were talking about
What's
this
that?
for 5 years.
I'm here another 6 months. In general,
A year.
6 sound reasonable to plan.
As long as we don't have to defend Swanton anymore, we're all right.
There we go.
DRB, 6 months.
We're on vacation right now.
All right, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Got it.
Our second.
Second that.
That's right, we gotta do it separately as board, sorry, we'll do it for the town. We gotta do it.
Motion made.
All in favor?
So,